guys, on this installment of PJ Cooks Sexy Food, we're going to be making that deli and diner staple. We're going to be making crumb cake. So easy, so simple. Once you make it from home, you'll never go out and buy it. Move over Entenmanns. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Ziba today for providing me with the springform pan that we're going to be using. So let's get started.
The ingredients that we're going to use for our crumb cake. For the cake, we need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, half a cup of granulated sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, 1/2 cup, in this case I'm using buttermilk, but you could use whole milk, 2 tablespoons of canola oil, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. For the crumb topping for our crumb cake, we're going to need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 cup of melted butter. That's 2 sticks of butter. What we want to do now is we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees, and we're going to spray our baking dish with a non-stick cooking spray. I like using one of the non-stick cooking sprays that are for baking that have flour. It just gives for a much better release. Now we could do it in either an 8x8. If you want to go for square, I'm going for a round, and I'm using a 9-inch round. So I'm going to spray the pan generously, and so we ensure nothing sticks. And we're going to set that off to the side. Now combine our dry ingredients. So we have our flour, our sugar, our salt, and our baking powder. And we're just going to whisk that up and just until it's well combined. Let's turn our attention to the wet ingredients. We have our egg, we have the buttermilk, the vanilla, and the oil. And we're going to whisk that until it's well combined. Flour and our eggs are both mixed. Now we're going to combine the two and mix them until well combined. You can see what a thick batter that we have here. That's exactly what we're looking for. Once it's well combined, we'll now transfer this into our baking sheet. And just using an offset spatula, I'm going to give that a little spritz of cooking spray. Just like that. And then we're going to just smooth the batter out all the way around the pan so it's nice and even. Now that our batter is spread out even all over the bottom of the pan, we're going to set that aside and turn our attention to the crumb topping. What we're going to do is we're going to combine our flour, our sugar, and our cinnamon, and we're going to mix that up until well combined. The cinnamon, the sugar, and the flour is well combined. We're going to go ahead and pour in our butter. And we're going to stir that up just until we start to get everything to come together and crumbs begin to form. So you can see how crumbly this has become now that we've combined it all together. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sprinkle this over the top of our cake. So with our hands, we're going to go in and we're just going to break this up and create crumbs. So it's big chunky crumbs like this. And we're just going to sprinkle that all over the top of the cake. Make sure you get all the way around the edges. Don't want to leave any part of this cake exposed. So I'm going to go ahead and finish topping off this cake with our crumbs. So I went ahead and I finished putting the crumbs on the top of the cake. Now we're going to pop this into our 350 degree oven for about 30 minutes. So I went ahead and I took our cake out of the oven. We're going to stick it in the center with a toothpick on an angle and pull it out just to see that it's done. You can tell when it's done when there are no crumbs on the toothpick. Now what I want to do is I want to take my offset spatula or something, a thin knife. I just want to go right around the edge of the cake like this, just to ensure it comes loose as the cake cools and nothing is sticking. And we're going to let this cake cool for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours on a baking rack. And we're going to come back and top it and enjoy. So it's been 2 hours since our cake is cooled, so we're going to open up our springform pan. I'm going to take our ring off. Using the offset spatula, I'm just going to go right underneath the cake. Just give it a little wiggle. You could also put a piece of parchment paper on the bottom of this if you wanted to ensure it doesn't stick when you're before you grease the pan. Going ahead and loosening this up. And then once I have it all loose, then I will transfer this over to a serving platter. Here I've got my favorite cake stand. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to slide this cake right onto the cake stand. Ah, doesn't that look good? Now, to finish this off, we're going to sprinkle the top with powdered sugar. Don't be chintzy with the powdered sugar. Crumb cake wouldn't be crumb cake without a good layer of powdered sugar over the top. Now, let's go in and cut a piece of this crumb cake. You can hear the crunch as the knife is going through those crumbs. Oh, that sounds so good. Just go in there and take this piece out. And look at that layer of crumb on top. Perfect crumb cake every time. So simple, so easy. You can do this at home. Never buy it from the deli again. Hope you enjoyed this recipe. And I hope you try it at home. Thanks for tuning in to PJ Cooks Sexy Food. See you guys later.